Language learning and the subconscious mind is something that really fascinates me. I'm interested in language learning in general. I'm interested in how people learn languages, what motivates them to learn languages, how they go about learning languages and their language learning styles. And to me, when I go about learning a language, I don't always necessarily go about it in the same way as other people. So I tend to be very much an auditory learner. I like to listen to podcasts and watch films and listen to language learning lessons. So that's pretty much me, and I know not everybody else goes about it the same way. But when I'm speaking a language sometimes, and I'm in a kind of zone that I'm speaking a language from with another person, I sometimes feel that the subconscious mind is enabling me to speak it more effectively than the conscious mind. So let me try to explain. So when I'm conscious of speaking a language, sometimes I'm trying to find a word and I'm trying to find a system or trying to find a grammar system, and it doesn't always enable me to speak that language effectively, but it's sometimes the subconscious mind that comes into play, that I feel that something's taken over. I'm tapping into something. I don't always know why I know those words, how I can enable those words to come into a conversation. And it's a known fact that children learn languages by immersion, in their environment. They pick up the grammar and the language. They don't often know about the grammar until they go to high school, until they go to school and they start learning about how the grammar works. So for me, the spectrum from subconscious to conscious is kind of like immersion to grammar, immersion to grammar, and or that error correction you get at school when you have those lessons in the class. So I'm not saying that grammar is a bad thing to know, because we can understand the language and how the structure of the language works with the grammar, and sometimes that helps us to revisit a language and pinpoint how a language works. But it's the subconscious processes that interest me and how the subconscious processes work. So I've been learning quite a few different languages over the last few years, and the languages that I feel that I've learnt better are those ones that I've input more. So that makes sense, doesn't it, on a logical level? So the two languages that I've made more progress in are Polish and Chinese, and I've input quite a lot of those languages. But on another level, I've also done a lot of listening in the background to those languages like a child would do. And for example, I bought this Polish CD when I first started learning Polish, and I started listening to it, and I didn't have a clue what the words meant. And then over time, I learned, some of the lyrics of this. But before I learned what the lyrics actually meant, I could reproduce some of the sounds of the songs because I'd listened to it so much. So through kind of spaced repetition, I had learned how to say these words. So for example, one of the songs goes, Jestem chory na świstko kochana, etc., etc. And I probably wouldn't have learned those words if I knew what they meant, because it means I'm sick of life. I'm sick of everything, baby. And, it's not kind of the lyrics I want to be learning, because it's not very positive. But I love the songs, and it's kind of like a punky, folky, prog rocky type band. So what I'm trying to say is I learned those words kind of in an intuitive, subconscious way, because I wasn't reading them. I wasn't consciously thinking, right, this word means this word means this. I learnt them, how to say them and how to reproduce them before knowing what they meant. So it's like a child would learn to swear and doesn't really know what the swearing means or the level of intensity of that swear word. Fuck, a kid will say, and the parent will chastise that child for saying the word, but the child is only repeating what is heard in the environment. So I think sometimes language input can work on a subconscious level. So I'm not saying that if you listen to CDs and DVDs and don't do any active language learning that you're going to learn the language, but on some level that combined with the conscious effort of learning will enable you to make more progress than you think. So sometimes I watch a YouTube video in the middle of the night if I'm awake, and then I'll fall asleep again and it will still be playing on in the background and I'll be listening to the sounds. So I did this with Tagalog, so I've been trying to learn some Tagalog recently, and I watched a YouTube film on Tagalog. I fell asleep, and while I was asleep I had a lucid dream. I was in this dream and I was dreaming that I was speaking Tagalog with somebody, but I couldn't actually understand what the other person was saying, but I was using my more basic Tagalog to ask them to slow down. And it was quite interesting. When I woke up, I thought, oh, I really thought I was in this dream and I was speaking Tagalog with people. So kind of that sort of helped me subconsciously develop my Tagalog on some level. So sometime in the future I'm maybe going to have a conversation with somebody and somehow I'm going to be intuitively picking the right word to say. I don't know how that works, but obviously the learning process, language learning and levelling up and, you know, consciously learning a language is through your teacher, through the lessons that you learn and everything, but the subconscious mind does have a part to play. So what do you think of this topic? It's just a small video I'm making to give you an idea of maybe trust in your subconscious mind, maybe have more immersion in your language, maybe have more things going on in your environment, inputs that might enable you to get a feel for the language more, that might enable you to speak it a little bit more. So thanks for watching. It's a strange topic to talk about because it's subconscious, so we don't really know how it works exactly, but it's important in language learning, I believe. Food for thought.